Look, this the Black Holocaust. I knew it was prophecy. 1,000 times worse than the Jewish atrocities. Uneven playing field, there'll never be a fair score. Cause in 1619, that's when they declared war. We the 12 tribes, the ones that the promise reaches.
Alright, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. We are the Hebrew Israelites of the San Francisco Sakari sect, out here to bring back the Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans to repentance. Right. And to preach the downfall of this wicked of Babylon, man. All right, and today we'll be going in about the law is not done away with, because we have this lie going around in church talking about the law is done away with, that Christ came to abolish the law. So I'm gonna be talking about how the law is still in full effect even though we are under grace. Right. So first I'm gonna get this Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So God does not change. If God does not change, how are you going to say that? First, the Bible is going to say that we have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. But then the church is going to turn around and say that you don't have to do it. Right? If God doesn't change, that's contradicting itself. And somebody is lying, and of course it's not the Bible. That's right? So who is it going to be then? Of course the church. All right, so go ahead and
Matthew chapter 19, verse 17. And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments.
So this verse right here is a couple cuts. Right, first Jesus is saying that nobody is good but the Father, showing you that he is not God. Right, but he's saying that there's only one good, that's the Father. And he's also saying if you want to, so like if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. So Jesus is telling you keep the commandments. So why are you going to listen to the church that's saying don't keep the commandments when who you believe in, Jesus Christ, is telling you keep the commandments?
Right.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
So obviously, as we can see, there's still heaven, right? We're still on earth, right? So the law is still in effect. That's what Christ is saying, right? Till heaven and earth pass, no jot nor one tittle, no little thing is going to pass from the commandments. So why is it that you guys are still out here eating pork? People still out here shaving their faces even though you're not supposed to, right? Still eating shrimp. Hey, brother, you got a question over there? Hey, man, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? All right. All right, so in this verse it says, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So let's see what all being fulfilled is.
All right, you got Acts 3:18.
Read out!
This is Acts chapter 3 verse 18. But those things which God before had shewed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he hath so fulfilled.
Right, so when the church says that Christ came to fulfill everything, that's what it's talking about. When the Bible is talking about that he's going to come to fulfill things, that's what he's talking about, that he's going to suffer for us. Why? Because through his stripes we are healed. And we're going to get that in Isaiah right now.
Isaiah
53 and 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes we are healed.
Right, so Christ had to suffer, right? He had to he had to suffer for our transgressions, right? That was the prophecy of him. That's what he came to fulfill, that he was going to go through that chastisement and heal Israel through him, right? That was his prophecy. That's what he came to fulfill. And I'll finish that in Matthew then.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
Right. And this is an important thing, man. We have a lot of people out here preaching in the streets, but they're not teaching you to keep the law. They're teaching you that the law is done with. So what's Christ saying about them? That they're going to be the least in the kingdom of heaven. Right? And we're trying to teach you guys the commandments, and we're doing them so that we can hopefully be great in the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
All right, and we're going to show you right now what love is in the Bible, because everybody talks about how they love God, but we'll see what the Bible has to say about it. What's going on, sister? What's going on? First, how you doing? We're doing good. You believe in God? You believe in the Bible? Yeah. Do you know your nationality according to the Bible?
I do not. I know my nationality according to man.
And what is that? You're black. Where's the continent black at?
Bring it up.
That's what it is.
Thing is, I've never been to
Oh, okay. So you're
I don't know about Antarctica.
okay. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. Okay, and this is an important thing right here. So right, you're calling yourself black, right? That's not a continent. That's nowhere. Nobody is from black, right?
Right.
So now I'm gonna show you in the Bible why you don't know who you are according to the Bible. Right? Go ahead.
It's Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4.
Bring it out.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
How did your so-called black people get here to America? Your slave ships, right? Okay, so right here in this verse that it just said, you're going to serve your enemies in the land, right? Okay, and give me that in Deuteronomy 28:16. Let me show you this. If I could show you in the Bible that the whole thing of slave ships, you guys, the transatlantic slave trade in the Bible, right? It's going to somewhat pinpoint who you are in the Bible, right?
That's
if
right.
your people went through it, and the Bible is saying that eventually the Israelites, this is what's going to happen to them. You know what I mean? Then it shows who you are in the Bible, right? Because this didn't happen to every nation. The white man didn't go through this.
Right.
The Asian man didn't go through this, right? It's
Right.
only certain people that went through this. All right, so go ahead and bring that up.
Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Okay, so it says right there that you're going to be sold into Egypt again, right? And let me show you what the word Egypt in the Bible is used with. All right, go ahead.
This is Exodus 20:2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Right, so Egypt is synonymous with bondage in the Bible, right? So God is telling you He's going to send you in. Go back to Deuteronomy 28. That you're going to see Egypt again, right? You're going to see bondage again, but this time through ships, right? And you're going to be sold unto your enemies, how it says, and no one's going to buy you. The word buy you here is pretty much means no one's going to redeem you, no one's going to save you, right? So that's what this is going into. So pretty much what I want to get into is saying that you're an Israelite, right? From the tribe, most likely from the tribe of Judah, right? Are you aware about the Israelites? Are you? What do you know? Right. God's people. Right? So, do you know, if we're God's people, why are we in this predicament that we are now? Why are our brothers selling drugs to each other, shooting each other, pimping out their sisters and stuff?
Right.
Why is that going on in our communities if we're God's chosen people? Why though? Here, give me that in Deuteronomy 28:15. Are we?
Yeah, because we choose. So we're given free will.
Can you show me that in the Bible?
We're not given free will?
Of course not.
That's right.
I thought we had
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
No, we don't.
Bring it out, Art.
For now, I'm gonna get one to prove that and give you Deuteronomy 15. Deuteronomy 28:15. Alright, go ahead. This is why we're in this predicament that we're in now. Right? Yeah. I'm gonna get one for him. He has it.
All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So if you don't do these commandments that God is telling, if you don't do these commandments that God is telling us to do, then these curses are going to come upon you, right? And it goes from verse 15 all the way to verse 68 about bad things that are going to happen to Israel, right? That we're going to have. Go ahead. Right. Of course. Yes.
We choose to do on our own. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Here. Let's go.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 24.
Yo!
Man's going are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way?
Right. So that's pretty much. God is choosing everything for us, right? There's another one that's pretty much here. Let me just bring you a couple more verses out. Just there's no yeah, go ahead.
This is Psalms 90 and 9. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told.
Right, so it's pretty much a story. It's already been planned out, right? And you give me, you know what? Give me Romans. Here, give me Romans 9, and like before they were. You know what I mean? Romans 9, 13, and all this stuff. You gotta show that Romans 9 about No, brother, we are the church.
Right.
In Acts 7:48, it tells you that God doesn't dwell in buildings made by hands, right? That's right. No, we're not. We are the church. Right here, brother, in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all of our brothers drug dealing to each other, in the midst of all our brothers killing each other,
Right.
we're trying to wake our brothers up to these commandments.
This is Job 33 and 14. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from man.
Right, so God is pretty much has already implanted what's gonna happen with you. I mean, yeah, everything's already been predestined, right?
That's
There's
right.
no free will. You can think that you're doing it, but really, it's the Most High already had it planned out that way. See, that's why I want to get the one in Romans.
It's funny because I'm the walking murderer. I was shot like believers for 7 times last year. So
Okay, 11. Here, we'll start at 10. Here, check this out, man. Are you familiar with the Bible and the story of the Bible?
I am.
Right? Do you know who Jacob is? Right? Do you know who Esau is?
So I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know the name Spanish very well.
Okay,
But English is
Esau
little.
y Jacob.
Okay.
Right? Do you know who Esau is?
Yeah.
Who is he?
You know for that mother and everything?
Right. And in the Bible, it's gonna show, I'm gonna read it to you. God loved one and he hated the other one.
That's right.
Are you familiar with that?
You're explaining it in the giveaway right now. So I
Okay,
can-
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read you this verse here,
Please.
and if there is free will, then it contradicts this verse right here. All right, let me read this to you. Let me read this to you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, start at 10.
This is Romans 9 and 10.
Let's start at 9, my bad. Yeah, 9.
Verse 9. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac.
So this Isaac's the father of both of them, right?
All right, go ahead.
Verse 11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil,
So they haven't even done anything yet, right?
that the purpose of God according to election might stand.
Right.
Not of works, but of him that calleth.
Go read the next one.
Verse 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
So if they haven't done anything before they were even born, God said, man, I love Jacob, but I hated Esau. They hadn't even done anything yet. So if there's free will, and Esau could have done whatever he wanted to do to please God, but God already had his plan set. You know what I mean? He said, man, before they even were born, I already chose you, and I hated you.
Right.
So how does
Right.
free will work in there? You know what I mean? So it's there.
Bring it out.
Verse 19. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will?
All right. Yeah, man, that is pretty.
Read this next
one.
Verse 20. Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus?
Right.
So it's pretty much saying, man, everything was made the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
We can sit here and argue about how, oh, this isn't going the way I'm supposed to do, this and that. Man, everybody has their set plan of how everything was supposed to happen.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty. And before we keep going too on this free will thing, right? What's your nationality?
I'm Honduran.
Honduras. Okay. Honduras, is that still Mayan there?
Yeah, we have Mayans, but we have Lepas. You know what a Lepa is?
Okay. Con. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, do you know your nationality according to the Bible?
And we all supposed to come from one place. Because
Yeah.
we divided the earth. The earth is just one of its own, right? I
Uh-huh.
believe we're one race. I don't believe it's multiple races.
Is that what the Bible says?
That's what I believe. That's what I've been taught.
Okay, here, let me show you something. So when you said we're all one race, right? That kind of comes down to us all coming from Adam, right? Okay.
Bring it
Let's
out.
see what the Bible has to say about it.
Right. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all.
Right? We all come from Adam, right?
And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
Right? Who's the people that God chose out of everybody that came from Adam, though? Israel, right?
Go ahead.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes, as for the other people.
Right. So the world was made for the Israelites' sake, but as for the other people which also come from Adam,
Bring it out.
which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing,
That's right.
but be like unto
Unto
spittle,
spittle.
and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
Right.
pretty much that's saying God says the other nations that aren't Israel, they're like spittle, they're like spit, like you spit on the floor, it's nothing. And it says that they're like drops that fall from a vessel. Like you have a bucket and there's a couple drops that fall from that bucket of that full water you have. You're not going to care about those drops of water that fell. You care about that bucket. You care about Israel in this sense. You know what I mean? So that's what that's talking about.
Right.
Right. So in the sense, yeah, we all do. We all, I guess, if you want to name it that way, we all do come from Adam, right? We are that one people, but God chose people from that lineage of Adam.
What I also thought is that when Jesus came, he came to save the world, not just Israel. So he died for everybody. That's not
Okay, here. Yeah, go ahead.
you guys, are you guys?
Yeah, we'll get to it. Here, let me finish reading this one, then we'll jump into that.
Deuteronomy 32, verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
So God separated everybody, but he still was focusing on Israel. I mean, Israel was still his. I mean, his possession. And that's who he was like, man, this is my people. Not everybody else, he chose Israel. Right, so let me go into this.
This is Matthew 15 and 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Right, so Jesus here, right, he's over here saying, man, I'm not sent to nobody but the house of Israel. Right, and if Jesus loves everybody, shouldn't he go preach to every nation that was in there, right? To every people, to all the Asians back in the day, to all the Greeks, to all the Romans that were actually Greeks and Romans, not Israelites scattered into the Romans and Greeks. I mean, he's saying, I'm sent just to Israel, right?
Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
That's right.
Jesus is still saying in the New Testament that he's only going to Israel. That he's only preaching to Israel. I mean, and
Things like you said, it's something he has already. So everything, his plan was that the religion was going to expand from Israel to the rest of the world.
well, of course, because we're all scattered into the rest of the world.
Right?
I mean, so here, let me, here, pretty much, it's the same thing about, or here, you know what?
Let me just finish this one and I'll try to show you something first to help fight your cause. Right. Go ahead.
This is Romans chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision?
Right, so what you're saying is pretty much, like, it doesn't matter no more what you are, right? Okay, but the Bible is saying, the Jew, how can I phrase this for you? What does it matter then if you're a Jew then? Is what the Bible is saying here, because you're saying that it doesn't even matter no more. You could be whoever, right? So let me see. It says, what profit is there than the Jew, right?
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God?
That was pretty much it.
Right. So it's saying unto them, God, it was the oracles of God was given unto the Jews, unto Israel, right? So what profit is there being a Jew? Everything, because unto us it was given. I mean, that's what that is saying there. So no. Here, all right. So another thing that pretty much to throw you something and to show you what the Bible's actually saying, right? John 3:16, right? One of the main verses that the churches wants to show, right? God so loved the world, right? That he gave his only begotten son, whoever should believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life, right? So it goes back to what you're saying. God loves everybody, right? Everything was spread out to the world, right? Give me that.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Romans chapter 11, verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people?
So because Jesus came and died for everybody, right? The way that you're thinking, does it matter anymore if you're Israel? Huh? I mean, not in a spiritual sense. You are Israel because you descend from these people, right? And I'll go ahead and show you that in the Bible, it's showing you that you are an Israelite, right? Not spiritually, just because Jesus died for everybody, right? But let me go ahead. Keep on.
I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
That's Paul talking right there. That's after Jesus died.
That's right.
I mean, so how are we still going to sit here and say that Jesus, that it's for everybody when a Benjamin is talking about it? You know what I mean? Okay, so to go back, God so loved the world, right? John 3:16. I'm going to show you what world that was, because in the Bible it talks about worlds, not just one world. Right. So go ahead.
Isaiah 45 and 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord.
Right.
Everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded. World without end.
It's called Israel, the world right there.
Right! Read out!
Go ahead, go ahead.
This is Acts chapter 1, verse 6. When they, therefore, were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?
Right, so the promise is at the end is still to Israel. No matter how we want to put it, shape it, whatever what the Bible is saying and has said since the beginning, that the word, this truth, this laws, statutes, commandments, this God is for us.
Read out! Hey!
Go ahead, go ahead. All right.
So why ain't every church preaching while you guys are preaching? What the hell?
Bring it out!
Why they fucking watering down the message? Why? For what? Because the message is watered down now. Nobody's preaching like you guys are.
Right.
Of course. And you know what? We're gonna get a verse for it, but it pretty much just comes down to money.
Right.
Man, you know what the church is gonna teach? It doesn't teach you to keep the commandments, right?
Right.
First of all, it doesn't tell you stop eating pork, stop doing this, stop doing that, wear these fringes. You know what I mean? It's gonna tell you all these beautiful things so that you keep coming in there and what? Give them their money.
Right.
They
Right.
said the law is done away with, but the
This is Titus chapter 1, verse 11.
Read out!
Whose mouths must be stopped.
whose mouths must be stopped? These fake pastors, these fake priests,
Bring
these
it out! Bring it out!
rabbis, everybody's mouths must be stopped. Why?
Who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake.
That's right. It's all for money.
That's
man,
right.
Even since back then, it was all for money. If they can keep you to keep coming back, tell you, man, it's okay. You can still keep being a homosexual. Just come to church and give me my $5, my $10, whatever. Anything for money. You know what I mean? And they're gonna still keep that law of tithes, right? El diezmo, todavía vas a dar el diezmo. Why? Because that's the law that they want to enforce on you. They're not gonna enforce all the other 612 laws that come with this, right? They want to just keep that one law that they focus on, man. Just keep giving me this money.
Bring it out!
Hey, man, that's what we're here to do, man. That's what we're here to do.
Right!
Isaiah 56:10. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark. Sleep.
So right, the watchmen we're supposed to keep an eye on for everything, right? Just like how it says right there, you have a watchdog. If something bad is gonna happen, it's supposed to bark, right? It's supposed to, hey man, wake your game up and look at this, what's going on, right? But here it's saying that the watchmen, right, the priests, the people that are supposed to be on top, the pastores are supposed to be letting their people know, hey man, this is what's going on.
Right.
Them dumb dogs, they're not even barking, man. They're not even letting you know what's going on.
Really not, right?
They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark. Sleeping. Lying down. Loving to slumber.
Man, that's exactly what's going on in the church these days, man.
Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord.
Right, man. They got destruction coming, man. That's what they got coming. They're getting their glory here, man. But we're trying to get our glory in the kingdom.
Right! Bring it out!
You actually use every Saturday? Right here.
Every Saturday from
Yeah, exactly.
Deuteronomy 10:12. So now that you know that you're an Israelite, right? Most likely from the tribe of Zebulon, right? Because of the people who you descend from, because it's all in the seed, right? It's always been through the seed, through who your father is. And if we can trace our lineage back to these indigenous people here, right? Who they came from,
I want to bring out the second Ezra, right? Here, let's read this one. Let's just stick to this part. 13, 14. Here, and
now that you know you're an Israelite, what does God require of you?
Bring it out!
Right?
so go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy 10 and 12. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Verse 13. To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
Right? And this is all for our good, man. Just going back to how originally with that sister was here, why are these bad things happening to us? Because we're not doing what he commanded us to do, right?
Right!
Deuteronomy 28:1 is saying, man, all these beautiful things, all these nice things are going to happen, all these blessings are going to happen if you're keeping the law. But it all has to happen together, man. Israel has to wake up and come back to God and keep these law, statutes, and commandments, man, so everything can get better. Because if it doesn't, man, no matter what these pastors do, no matter what these rabbis do, they're going to keep scattering the sheep, and nothing is going to change, man.
Right.
And that's pretty much what we're out here to do, man. Just wake up our people, tell them to come back to these law, statutes, and commandments. And hey, man, as long as we get one person, I mean, to wake up one person in this whole afternoon, it's going to be worth it, man.
That's right.
Right.
It's not a religion, brother. Just how we said it's a heritage, right? It's who you descend from. This is your culture. I mean,
Right.
this is your culture before you were told that. All right, let me go into something deeper then. Right? How we said that you're Mayans, right? And if we all descend from somebody in the Bible, who were the Mayans in the Bible then? Who did they descend from in the Bible? Where did they come from? Okay. All right, but how did they get here then? If everybody was on the other side of the earth, what are they doing here?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna read you that in the Bible. All right, go ahead.
This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40.
Bring it out.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Right, so right here it says these are the 10 tribes, right? Because in the time of Jesus, if you remember, there's two, but really 3 tribes that were there, right? The Benjamins, the Levites, and the Jews, right? So Judah, right? So the other tribes, this is about 800 years before that, they were carried away into another land already. In the rest of the Bible, you won't really hear about them. You'll hear about a remnant of them, but you're not hearing about Zebulon in the New Testament. You're not hearing about Ephraim. You're not hearing about Manasseh. You're not hearing about Gad. It's a remnant of them, but it's not talking about them as a whole right there, right? Why? Because they were carried away prisoners 800 years before that, right? Go ahead.
Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Right, so we know the Aztecs, the Incans, the Mayans, the Native Americans, they're all the first people that were here. Right, there was nobody here before them. All right, so there was already people living in Europe at the time. There was already people living in Africa at the time. So where's this land that man never dwelt at? Right? Keep going.
Verse 42. That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over.
So they came through water, right? Go ahead.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely, of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arzareth.
So to get to that land, to get to Arzareth, it took them a year and a half to get there on a boat. You know what I mean? So how far is that place from where they were originally at, right? And most scholars are going to say that, yeah, Arzareth is so-called America right now. I mean, so we are the first people here that where never mankind dwelt is where it says 9 tribes or 10 tribes where we originally are the people from this land.
Right.
I mean, so that would mean that see, all these other tribes that are down here is the so-called Northern Kingdom, right? The original people of America, right? So that's what we're going into, saying that you would most likely be from the tribe of Zebulon according to the prophecies of it. That's right. And let me get that in Genesis 49. I'm going to show you a little.
You guys have a really, really advanced and strong understanding of the Bible.
I mean, because it's revealed to the people who it's supposed to be revealed.
That's right.
There's people out here that are grabbing our book, trying to tell you what's in it. They're not going to know what's going on, but the people who it was written by, who it was written for, they're going to know what's going on, man. All right, go ahead.
This is Genesis 49, verse 13. Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon.
And this is real. That's real important too. It says the border shall be unto Zidon, right? And you're going to be a border of ships. And in the biblical, I mean, in the older times, right? Zebulon's land was landlocked. It was like surrounded by desert, right? So how is their prophecy going to be that? This is obviously an end times prophecy. Here, read. You know what? Read verse 1. Just to show you, this is a future prophecy to show the tribes what their future prophecy was going to be, right?
Right.
Genesis 49:1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
So go back to the verse again. So this was going to befall Zebulon, right? At the last days.
Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon.
Right, so it's going to be a haven of ships, right? Down there, it has like the Panama Canal down there, right? It's a whole bunch. It's one of the most busiest places for ships there. It has one of the busiest ports, right? In the older times, it was landlocked. There was nothing but dirt around there. There was nowhere near the being close to a haven of ships there, right? And it says the borders are going to be onto Zidon. Even in the newer times, the so-called the Olmec tribes. Oh, here you go. This is a fellow Zebulonite right here. Yeah, so pretty much that's showing you that this is a future prophecy. That's showing you what's so-called now Central America, right? That whole region was pretty much inhabited by the Mayans, and at the bottom of it was the Olmec tribes, right? In the biblical terms, that was Zidon, right? So that's pretty much saying that's literally fulfilling the prophecy, showing you that hey man, the people, whoever's living here, and this is going on with Zidon, which is the Olmecs now. This is gonna be Zebulon's land right here. So that's,
have to bring this message to my church.
hey man, ask some questions and let them know. Hey man, that's how we all start asking questions, man. If you don't hear it, how are you ever gonna know, man? And most likely, whoever, what religion are you?
My family is Christian. I am not in the church. I'm gonna be honest. I was in the church. There were certain things that got me out of it.
Like what?
My behavior.
Behavior?
Yeah,
Like
I
what?
chose to do wrong. I started doing that. Right. So then it was ridiculous too, because you're supposed to have a relationship with God, regardless if you're going to a building or not. You can always have to leave. You can always have a relationship with God, even in the room. Because all you need to have a relationship with God is to talk to Him, right?
Right.
You can talk to Him through friends, right? So I regretted it after. You know, like I said, I'm a walk from there, but I got shot by 7 times. They shot at me 14. I was hit 7. So for me to be walking right now is a miracle.
Out here right now for the same purpose, man. I mean,
Right.
This is John chapter 9 verse 31.
this is going back to what you were saying. Back then, you were doing all these bad things, right? All these wicked things, but you're still praying to God, right? Let's see what God has to say, right?
John 9:31. Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth.
And we can sit here all day and still be robbing everybody, selling drugs to everybody, and say, "Hey man, God help me." God doesn't care, man. If you're not
Right.
doing His will, He doesn't care about anything you have to say. So what do you have to do, man? Right? You got to get back on track and do these law, statutes, and commandments, man.
Right.
And you're already even without knowing, you're already doing some of them. I mean, you're keeping your beard. That was a law.
Oh, so like, go ahead.
Psalms chapter 40 verse 8. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart.
Right, and that's going back to what we're just talking about right now, man. The law is in your heart, man. You're keeping these little things, right, without even knowing too. Do you eat pork?
I do.
Eat carnitas? Right, that was our people's I mean, that's what got forced on us, right? But that wasn't something that we were doing. I mean, back then. Same thing with shrimp. Do you eat shrimp? Right. You know, God says don't eat that. You know. Give me Isaiah 66. End of it right there.
Yeah,
Give Leviticus 11 and like
the message
13.
is being watered down.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody's teaching this stuff right now. Really, bro? Nobody's talking to nobody straight up like that.
But it's getting out there, man. We're getting out there.
He said get
All
away,
praise.
bro. He said get away because when you don't water down the message, it hits you. Like, for me, it hits me stronger.
Yeah.
So if you tell me the truth is my faith, I'm going to try to change because now I know the truth.
Right.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
We all know that the truth shall set you free.
That's right. Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And this goes back to the same thing you're saying that you were in the church, right?
This is Acts chapter 7, verse 48. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophets. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord? Or what is thy place of my rest?
It's going to show you, man, God is in heaven right now. How are you going to say, man, God is in this building right here, right now that I just built? Man, that's just, first of all, that's stupid. And the Bible is saying otherwise, you know what I mean?
He left the Holy Spirit.
Right. Okay, so then,
You believe that? The Holy Spirit?
of course, yeah.
It's John 8:32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Right.
That's what you're saying, man. When you know the truth, man, you're going to know it's the truth. You know what I mean?
The wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 4. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
Right, so this word, right, this wisdom isn't going to be with nobody that's a sinner, that's out there doing bad stuff, I would say, out there being wicked, right? It comes with the godly man, for the person that's seeking it out, first and foremost. You know what I mean? If you're seeking it out, you're going to get it. You know?
This is Leviticus chapter 11, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
Right, so if God doesn't change at all, these things is still what He's commanding of you, right? So go ahead.
It's verse 7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you.
Right, God is saying, man, don't, even though this thing, yeah, sure, he's eating the grass, right? He's still unclean. Why? Because pigs still eat they eat everything. You know what I mean? And they can't even purge themselves. They don't sweat. They don't do none of these. They have this, like, I don't know if you've seen that little gland that they have on their foot. It looks like literally crap is coming out of there, man. I mean, why would you eat that? I mean, it's and the same thing is going back with the shrimp. Oh, here. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 8. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you.
Like, don't eat it, don't even touch it if it's dead. That's how bad, that's how nasty God says that is. I mean, here, let me read this. Okay. Oh.
Verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
Right. So all these things that have fins and scales, right, that you can eat. Anything else that doesn't have fins and scales and comes from the water, God said that's an abomination to you.
Right.
Shrimp is just how lobster is, just how oyster is. Those things are meant to clean the ocean, right? Shrimp is literally the bottom feeder.
Right.
And our people are still out here paying extra to, man, this is what people say is good food for you. Yeah, crab and lobster. You're paying extra to eat something that God is telling you don't even eat.
Right.
That's how crazy our people are. You know what I mean? That's the craziness. The church ain't telling you that. You know what I mean? Bro, at my job, man, we have people that come in here supposedly from church, and all they're eating is pork in there. All they're eating is pig in there.
My family's church, they cook people for after the service, right? They're always cooking pork.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. That's straight hypocrites, man. And this is also at the end, right? A false prophet. Somebody, if one of the prophets says something and that doesn't come to happen, that prophet's a false prophet, right? So I'm gonna show you this at the end, right? Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15. For
Read out.
behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury,
Man, he means business right here, right?
and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by my sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
A lot of people are gonna die. Why?
They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden, behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord.
Right, and right there is saying the prophet Isaiah, and this is gonna come to pass because that was a prophecy, right? He's saying anybody that's eating pig at the end and any of the other abominations, it's over, man. He's gonna come with fury, how it says, man. It's giving you a couple of verses before that, showing you how angry he's gonna be with these people.
Right, every action we take is consequence. I mean, there's consequences, right?
Yeah, of course. Goes back to the same thing in Deuteronomy saying, man, if you do this, it's gonna go good. If you don't, these are the consequences. There's more consequences. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
This is Sirach, chapter 1, verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and the Lord shall give her unto thee.
Right.
For the fear of the Lord is wisdom and instruction, and faith and meekness are his delight.
Yeah, man. If you desire wisdom, right, keep the commandments, start doing these commandments, man, and God is gonna start speaking, letting you know what's going on.
It's the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and 18. Whosoever he be that does rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto the words in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of a good courage.
Man, this path is a hard one, man. Once you start doing the right thing, man, you're gonna start getting, how it says, you're gonna have to endure, right? As long as you start doing all these bad, if you're doing all this wicked stuff on earth, man, you don't care about everything. Yeah, exactly. Everything comes easy, man. You're not tripping about anything. But as soon as you're trying to make that change, get ready to endure, man.
Right.
I just got out of jail, right? I'm trying to do a little better. I'm trying to better myself for my family, for everything.
Yeah, of course.
And then, oh my God, I got attacked so bad. Like, even my mom, I mean, I understand why she don't trust me, but she was like, she seen me the other day, she was like, you back doing that same shit, huh? And I was like, it's the first time I ever wanted to change, bro. This is the first time I've ever wanted to change my life. And like, you know, it affects me when she talks to me like that because I'm actually trying, you know, like, come on, man, just give me the benefit of the doubt. And that's what I'm not getting from nobody. But that's just because, like you said, I'm trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, man, of course. Hey, man, and that's how we come. And the Bible speaks about all of that. Yeah, exactly. That's the same one. But here, let's go. Let me read you a couple verses.
Sirach, chapter 2 and 1. Ye, my son, if thou come to serve thy Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
Say, man, if you're gonna get ready to do what the Bible is saying, man, prepare for everything, man. As soon as you say, man, I'm gonna make this change, one of your homies is gonna pop up your door. Hey, man, let's go hit this lick. Let's go do this. Let's go smoke this tree. Let's go do, man, everything except what the Bible is gonna tell you to do. You know what I mean?
This is Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father.
Right.
And the daughter against her mother. And the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
That's exactly what's going on with you, man. You're trying to make this change, and you're saying your mom is saying, man, what are you doing, this and that. But that's exactly what's gonna happen, man. This thing turned into some crazy thing with my parents too. Why? Because I'm out here trying to actually doing what the Bible is saying. I'm telling my dad, hey, man, look, we're not even supposed to be eating pork. We're not supposed to be doing this. My dad tells me, but it tastes good. We've been doing it for all these years. What does that matter, man? The Bible is telling me what I'm supposed to do, and you're contradicting it. So from me and my dad bump heads now, right? But it doesn't matter because I love God more.
Right.
This is Luke 12 and 51. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth. I tell you, nay, but rather division.
Right, and that's exactly what's going on, man. And you're going through that right now. I mean, and you're barely starting. So how we're saying, if you come to serve the Lord, man, prepare for temptation, right? You're gonna endure. You gotta endure, man.
It's funny that I'm actually trying to change. Like I'm here with the guys right now.
Like I was
Right.
saying, predestined, man. This is all. This was all supposed to happen, man.
Sirach chapter 2 and 2. Set thy heart aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble.
You see, so it's saying constantly. It's not just gonna happen one time. You're not just gonna go through one thing and you're good, man. This is gonna be a constant thing that's gonna happen to you, right? You're gonna have to constantly endure, right, man? You gotta be strong, man. That's first and foremost, man. You gotta be strong.
These are close words to Dylan.
Oh, that's bad, man. Oh my God. What was they tripping on, man? What's going on?
I had a steak on me.
Oh, man.
Like,
Yeah.
and I ran from them.
Oh, okay, man.
This is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?
Right, if you love God, man, He's gonna put you through these tests. How the Scripture says He's gonna refine you. He's gonna make sure that you're solid, man. Right? But it's saying that He's gonna put you through these things, right? Just how a father does, right? If I love my son and he's doing bad, man, I'm gonna spank him, right? I'm gonna do these things to make sure that he's good. And if a father doesn't do that to their kid, man, those kids are gonna be the most bad kids that he's gonna be. Those are gonna be the kids that are out here running around doing everything else, man. But if you love your kid, you're gonna set him straight, right? That's pretty much just what that said right there. He's gonna put you through things, right?
It's basically the same as a Christian writing, right? It's the same as a Christian writing, right?
This is, for the most part, yes, right? It's the same. It's the same books,
Right.
but the difference, like for example, this book is the 1611 one, right? This is an older one, and it pretty much has 14 books that aren't in in the Christian Bible, in the Reina Valera, right? But some of the
So the older they get, they have to work about it.
right, of course, the closer you get to it, yeah, of course. But for the most part, yeah, like a regular King James Bible, yeah, it's the same thing. You can find all these verses that we're pulling out in the regular
New
King.
ones, they got watered down. That's better. Nothing else.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's just translated different. You know what I mean? But yeah, this Bible that we have.
If you want to know about God, you have to study God.
Of course.
And you can't say you know God or you know about anything. You don't have to study the Bible.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the same thing. I didn't know none of this stuff before I actually read it myself. And once I actually read it myself, hey man, I got this question. And a couple months later, man, I'm standing right here on these corners preaching to my people.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that want to teach like that. There's not. Like, even when I was in the church, I didn't have a relationship where I could come and talk to my pastor and be like, hey, can you explain this to me? Because I don't get it. I can't do that.
Yeah, of course. And it says you need to be around people that are doing this in order to get their. It says cling onto the wise man, so you can be like them. I mean, so you can gather up what they're putting down. I mean, and those people, I'm telling you, those people in church, they don't got no wisdom.
Right.
Read over a verse and tell you, hey man, that's not literally what it's saying. But it just said it's gonna kill me if I eat pork. That's not what it's talking about, you know what I mean? All right, and this is an important verse for you right now, right?
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 5, verse 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed, and perish in the day of vengeance.
Right, it's saying now that you know what's going on, man, don't be like, you know what, I can still go out and do this. I can still go out and smoke tree. I can still go out and rob. I can still go out there and kick it. It says, man, don't hurry up and turn and get this, man. And this word was given to you right now, how we were just talking about. It was meant for you to get it. You know what I mean? So don't delay. Don't say, hey, man, God is gonna forgive me no matter what, man. It says you can't. Is that the same verse that's on that one? But it's pretty much saying, man, don't put sin on top of sin just because you think God is gonna be okay with it. Right. God is not okay with it, and you're gonna get paid for everything that we're doing. You know what I mean? So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Sirach 5 and 4. Say not, I have sinned, and what harm hath happened unto me? For the Lord is long suffering, he will in no wise let thee go.
Right, that goes back hand in hand with the other one, right? Everything that we're letting you know right now, man, make that change, bro. Be strong, how it says endure, man. And we're out here every Saturday after 3, so whenever. I mean, out here reading to our people, man. Yeah, alright, for sure. Nice meeting you too, man. Yeah, man. Right on. And thank you for sticking around too.
Cameraman. Thanks, man.
All praise. Yeah.
Kwam
And with that,
Yasharala.
shalom.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.